Okay. Hello. The guest today is Debra Stern, class of '87. She is the founder of a charter school up in Westchester, New York. Hello, Debra. What is a charter school?
Okay, well, first of all, Tony, welcome to Amani Public Charter School. I'm glad that you were able to come and do your podcast in our Digital Creator Lab. So this is a space that we've created for our students, but we can talk about it more. But a charter school is a public school like any other public school in New York State. It's just that the Board of Regents gives you a charter to be able to run a school in your community. So 15 years ago, myself, along with my husband, Charlie Stern, got together with a bunch of folks here at Mount Vernon to create this school that would give families in Mount Vernon a choice for a middle school.
Gotcha. So a charter school is just like a school where students can come and learn.
Just a school like any other public school in the community.
Gotcha. And then because you have its own charter, you could be more creative with the school in the way you teach.
It's a community-based charter, so it gives us flexibility to. It's a community-based school, and yes, we have our own charter, so that's almost like a contract from the state to say you're going to engage in education for these students. Go. And so, you can be more creative, you can be more flexible in terms of kind of your programs and what have you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what is this school like? Is it one big building? Is it multiple buildings? Is it how many students?
Sure. So Amani Public Charter School is a 5th through 8th grade school. We have we are allowed to have up to 355 students. Right now we have about 310, 315. Okay. We are I say that we are creating equity through opportunity. So I want to create a high performing middle school with lots of opportunities for students to get engaged in extracurriculars and electives and academics in ways that will set them up for success in the future.
Gotcha. So it's like 300 some students. They I'm trying to picture this. They walk to class each day.
They walk to class, yeah.
Because they're all part of the community.
Yeah. If you come to school in the morning, it's like any other community-based school here in Westchester. Parents drop kids off.
Okay.
Kids walk to school. Our school is located right in the center of town, so it's a great location. So yeah, a lot of our students walk.
And then the bell rings, and then they go into class.
Yeah, you just heard the bell ring. As a matter of fact,
okay. So that was the 12 o'clock bell.
That was the 12 o'clock bell. So it's like 6th period or something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then what's the day to day like for a student? Like they walk to class.
Yeah.
They show up in the classroom, and then do they have different periods?
Yeah. So this is a middle school, like if you go back to your middle school life, that's when you first started to have individual classes. And so we have our students coming in 5th grade.
Okay.
And they have math, ELA, social studies, science. We have art, physical education. We have electives, and so it's very much like a middle school, like you remember it being.
Gotcha.
And then next year we're going to expand and add elementary grades.
Oh wow!
So we're going to run 2 sort of different programs. So we'll have our middle school, which continue the way it is.
Okay.
And then we're going to start kindergartners and 1st graders. So that'll be more traditional elementary school.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So that way you won't be able to pick the classes like you would in middle school.
No, elementary will be a lot different.
You have one classroom,
one class,
one teacher. Gotcha. Yeah. So it'll expand from 300 some students to 600 some students.
No, when we're fully enrolled, from K through 8, we'll have 544 students.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, that's great then. So then the elementary school students can also feed into the middle school.
They will absolutely feed into So it'll be one big K-8 happy family.
Gotcha. That's really interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So your goal is for the model was again equity through
opportunity.
Equity through opportunity.
Yeah.
How does the equity play into the classes that you take and the opportunity play into those classes?
So I think that the equity piece is just creating an opportunity. I don't want to overuse the opportunity.
Okay.
Equity is just creating space for anybody to have in the Mount Vernon to access high quality education. The same high quality education you could get if you lived in Scarsdale or if you lived in Bronxville, Pelham, whatever. The opportunity part is, for me, is to create a school that has sports and arts and music and languages and field trips and rigorous academics and a great library and all the things that I'm sure you experienced growing up in your middle school and high school experience.
Yeah.
I experienced, my children experienced.
Yep.
I wanted to create that here in this
For
community
everyone
in Mount Vernon.
in Mount Vernon as well. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, like, what are like the typical students who are living in Mount Vernon and come to this school then?
So our students are from Mount Vernon primarily. Some students from the Bronx and neighboring communities. They are. Our students' body is like. Mount Vernon is an urban community.
Okay.
So we're like Bronx adjacent. So
Okay.
we have students that, like I said, it's very much like if you walk in the community, this is also suburban. So there's a lot of diversity in terms of the backgrounds for our students. But I would say that most of the parents are like very working class folks, a lot of moms and dads are nurses or in the healthcare industry, security, that sort of stuff. So very similar to any school you would go to in the Bronx or Manhattan.
Gotcha.
Queens.
And then the goal is to get them equity and more opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because compared to the neighboring
Yes.
cities in the Westchester.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So like the students come and then you're the principal?
I am the executive director.
Executive director.
yeah.
So as the executive director, how do you measure whether they're getting more of the equity and more of the opportunity?
So as the executive director, I run this not-for-profit, which is in the business of education, and we have a principal and all the instructional staff that does the work to make sure that kids are learning what they're supposed to be learning.
Interesting.
We participate in the with the New York State exams, and the students take that, and so we are constantly measuring the work that we do to make sure that we are getting the outcomes that we think are important for students in order to be successful in high school, college, and the career of their choice. But as the executive director, my job is really to help grow the program in terms of like fundraising and like one of the big things that I'm going to be engaged in the next few years is getting sort of building our building so that we can have a forever home and doing that sort of stuff. So that's a lot of big work. That's outside of just the reading, writing, and arithmetic of it all.
So it's not just the education part, but also the overall running it as oh, interesting. So like I think at Cornell there was like the provost who's in charge of the education part. That's like the principal. And then you're
exactly
like the president who
who's
and
it's
in charge
funny.
of fundraising.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I model this building off of that, so so our principal is like the provost overseeing the instructional part of the program, and I am very much like the president, because you have to be involved in like buildings and fundraising is very big, you know what I'm saying, and that working with the board of directors, and all that good stuff.
But you have to work hand in hand with each other.
Absolutely,
And the principal and the executive director.
How ABM and Michael Kotliff work at Cornell.
Gotcha. So for example, like this podcast room, it's a wonderful podcast room. Like what was the process in getting this podcast room started?
Sure. Well, this is a really example of opportunity. So my husband, Charles Stern, who is a co-founder of Amani with me, he's got a background in podcasting and digital media and that sort of stuff.
So that's his expertise.
Yes, his expertise. I've always had an interest in having like a TV studio or something. In the old days, that's what it was called, TV studio. So there was an opportunity through an organization called Black, Latinx, Asian Charter Collaborative to write grants for your school. I do a lot of writing grants. So Charlie actually wrote a grant to be able to build this digital creator lab to create this space so that students could create content and learn how to create content in ways that will help them to grow and sort of and learn out in the real world.
So as an executive director, you would write the grant for it, and then the principal would teach a class around this?
Well, actually, Charlie wrote the grant, this one, but but generally I'll write grants, and I'll I do a lot of work in finding grants that will help support our programs. Absolutely.
Gotcha. And then after the grant is written and the funding comes and you buy the equipment, and then how does the principal take it and run with it?
So then part of this grant is building up an elective class. That will be part of our curriculum.
Oh, interesting.
So that then students can then sort of participate in that. So right now we're piloting that. So there are 4 students who are part of the Digital Creator Lab. So they're coming in and they're taking the class. Right now Charlie's teaching the class. But the goal is to create it so that one of our teachers will take that on and teach the class in our program. So I don't know that interruption's going to...
And Kalani reports to the main office immediately. Report to the main office immediately.
So that's the real school stuff.
It's like the intercom. Wow. We had that in middle school too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's Huh, interesting. We didn't have that at Cornell.
No,
It was
there's just generally
only
not an
middle school and
intercom.
high school, yeah. The principal
I don't know if
comes
you
on
had
intercom.
well, now I guess there's like, if there had to be a general announcement at Cornell, there would be like a text message would go out.
Yeah. It would buzz all the phones.
Yeah.
And then,
and in my day, I don't even know how we would get general messages because we didn't have phones.
yeah, maybe they would ring the clock tower.
Your
bell.
old-fashioned phone would ring into your on your. Oh, they'd ring the clock tower. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh, interesting. Wait, so this is an example of like elective that the students
Yes,
can take. So that's
yeah.
more opportunity
Yeah,
that
exactly.
they would have. Gotcha.
And we have other electives, like we have a chess program
chess
that's
program,
actually
too.
run by a Cornellian. His name is Amir. It's a program called Rookley. Do you know Amir?
Oh, really? Oh,
I have to. I don't
yeah.
remember Amir's last name right now,
I
but
love
he is.
Rook- oh,
He's
yeah.
like
I
class
love
of
chess.
23.
Okay.
We created an online chess program.
Okay.
That teaches class, and then there's a league. You
Okay.
should actually meet him. He's a Cornellian.
Huh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love
I'll
chess.
make that connection for
Growing
you,
up,
yeah.
I played a lot of chess. growing
Yeah.
up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Huh, that's really interesting. So you got the electives and you got the core classes.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that the measurement, they would have the regent, they would have an exam.
Well,
and then they would have to take an
yes.
exam.
In New York State schools, K through 8, participate in the. There's a performance framework that's set up by the state to say, Deborah, we're going to give you this charter.
Okay.
There's certain things that you have to do.
Okay, makes sense.
And one of them is, everybody participates in the New York State exams,
Okay.
which are a way to measure sort of the academic progress of a school over
Okay.
time. So,
Gotcha.
and you grew up in DC, right?
Yeah,
so I don't
DC
know.
area,
I don't know what
yeah.
they have. Everybody has some kind of. You probably took some.
Yeah, we had a lot of exams and tests, scantrons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you would test whether
We
the
do all of
students
that. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So typically your students, like when they first come into Amani and when they leave Amani,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you see like improvement in the test score?
Yeah, we see, and it's important for us to look at like student growth over time,
Okay.
from when they come in to when they leave,
Okay.
and then also, I want to, like look in. Did they get a chance to participate in a sports team? Did they get a chance to do some kind of after school? Did they do an elective?
Gotcha.
All
So it's
those
more
good
holistic
things.
than
Yeah.
just like whether the grades improve, but whether
Yeah.
they. Huh, interesting. That makes sense. And then the interactions mostly the students would have during their day will be with their teachers. Like how do you make
Yeah.
sure that the teachers are able to follow the mission as well of equity and opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, we have one of the things that we're lucky at Amani. We have a really great teaching staff.
Okay.
A lot of people have been with us for a long time, which
Oh, wow.
is it's good. And then you always, kind of you get new teachers in and out. So, but we, when you become a teacher at Amani, we do a lot of professional development and support.
Okay.
And, for teachers. So, for instance, when any teachers come in, we come back to school in August and have like a whole week of just like PD, professional development, everything.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
ridiculously great teaching is one of our values.
Ridiculously
and so
great
that
teaching.
is like the main job for the for the provost principal
Okay.
person
Makes sense.
to support the teachers in that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How do you attract the best teachers to come?
How do you attract the best teachers? That's a good question, Tony. I think that it's tough, recruiting teachers and people, like not many people want to be teachers anymore. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I think yesterday you introduced me to somebody who was interested in teaching, which is very
Cornell
unique.
wants to become a teacher.
Because unfortunately,
Very
Cornell
important.
doesn't have a major in education anymore. I think they have a minor, but they don't have
Yeah,
a major.
yeah,
So
they used to have a major.
Yeah, they used to have a major. So not many people want to be teachers. So I think that how we attract teachers, it's a tough one. We have people that kind of just come to work at Amani, and you just interview them like anybody else, and then hopefully you, knock on wood, get good people because of the training and support that you give them.
Okay.
Helps people to grow in their profession. Yeah.
Does the mission and the location of Amani, does that help play into?
I think so. Yeah. I think the people definitely they see the mission. They see our school has a reputation for being very supportive, family type atmosphere. People like that.
Family type, as in you like if they have kids.
No, meaning the culture of the school is very supportive.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and
So
and
do
then
you have
we're-
a week at the beginning where you have professional development?
yeah, we have a lot of professional development. And then yes, Mount Vernon is a great location. I don't know if you did take the train up today.
Oh yeah, Mount.
Super convenient to New York City.
Gotcha.
So we do have some teachers that live in New York City, but mostly teachers live in Westchester.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then And so the teachers mostly, like I remember there was one teacher in my middle school, he would teach a class, but then he would also have an elective at the like after school activity. That he
Yeah,
would do.
so our teachers,
there are a lot of-
absolutely. Our teachers serve as coaches for the teams.
Okay.
They do electives,
Okay.
whatever their interests are.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever somebody comes to interview at Amani, I always ask them, if I asked you to do a club, what club would it be?
Okay.
Sort of to find out people's personal interests.
Okay.
But then also to see, well, there's opportunity if you wanted to do a cooking club
Oh, wow,
or,
okay.
some our teachers, our teachers in our music department, of course, run the shows that we do,
Okay.
but then one of our teachers helps with the hair and makeup.
Okay.
Somebody might help with the lights and all that sort of stuff. So
interesting.
yeah. So even for the adults, there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah, as a teacher. And then the teachers who stay here for like decades.
No, nobody's favorite. Well, maybe some people are here for decades. Yeah.
Yeah, like is that beneficial for the school?
Absolutely. I mean, we've barely been here for decades, so we're 15 years.
So,
We're 15 years,
okay.
yeah.
So the ones have been here for over 10 years. Like, how does that add to the culture of the school?
So it's definitely great to have people with long lived experiences with the school to be part of the community. And then like any school, you have like your general turnover that you always have. But
Okay.
like I said, we're very lucky. We have a lot of teachers and just members of the staff who've been here for some people from the beginning. So that's
Oh, wow.
nice. Yeah.
Huh, interesting. So, So when you first started the school, like, did you start off with 300? Did you start off with
No.
a group of teachers already?
Yeah,
Like, how
no.
did you?
When we first started school, we literally started the school in the third floor of our house.
Oh, really?
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And then we started the school. The way that charter schools work is that you build one grade per year. So we started with fifth graders
Oh, interesting. And then they would go
and then
into
build
sixth,
over,
and then go
and
into
then you
seventh.
would, So those early years was a
interesting.
lot of hiring new people and bringing new people into the community.
Yeah.
So that's a lot. So we started with 90 kids,
Okay.
90 students, and
Wow.
maybe like 5 employees. I don't even remember, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then you just add every year.
It's amazing.
More
On the third
kids,
floor of your
more
house, and then
people,
you
more
would have,
kids, more people. Yeah. And
Gotcha.
we've only been in this building since 2013.
Oh, wow.
We started in the basement of a local church.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah.
That's so interesting. So,
Yeah.
so at that time, it was just a couple teachers and 90
Yeah.
students.
Yep.
And then,
Yeah.
wow. How were you able to attract those 90 students at the beginning?
So,
Did you know a lot of students coming into this already?
no, you just, really getting out in the community,
Okay.
meeting people, like going to events and functions in the community, going out, handing out flyers, just really
Interesting.
very basic community
Yeah.
organizing.
Did you consider other cities at the beginning, or did you just, like Mount Vernon? And all
No,
that?
I did not, because my goal, my interest, my reason for doing this is to build a community-based charter school in this community.
In this community.
I think like I mentioned, I work professionally in higher education administration. I worked at Barnard Columbia University for many years.
Okay.
And then right before I started charter school, I stayed at home. I was a mother and I was raising my family, and so I am now a charter school operator. But 15 years ago, I wasn't burning desire to be a charter school operator.
Yeah.
But I had a burning desire to try to make a difference in the educational landscape for Mount Vernon.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in Mount Vernon? Like,
I
how did
grew
you,
up in New Rochelle, which is the town next door.
Gotcha.
And then and then we lived in Mount Vernon. We were raising our family here.
Gotcha.
then.
So you always felt that the community
Yeah.
was. Interesting. So you lived in Mount Vernon for.
So we lived in Mount Vernon for I think about. So we lived in Mount Vernon for like 10 years, and then we moved to a community next door.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So in those 10 years, you saw
Yeah,
the community.
I've lived in this
more
triangle of
schools,
Westchester all my life.
New
Yeah.
Rochelle and then
Yeah,
Mount Vernon. And,
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's really interesting. So how did you get to this spot? Did you study IR at Cornell?
I did study ILR at Cornell. Yeah, how did I get to the spot of
Yeah.
being a charter school operator? Not from the studying things I
Okay.
studied. Even though I use those skills all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I write grants a lot, so
Okay,
I
yeah.
became a good writer from my experiences. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Cornell.
yep.
Understanding how people work, because I run an organization that has 50 adult people that work here.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah, yep.
Got those skills from
Yep.
ILR school.
Got you the teachers well.
Yeah. So, but I did not. So, like I said, my sort of becoming a charter school operator. It's more based on kind of my experiences I had as a community organizer and just that sort of thing, not necessarily, And then I bring in the professionals like the principals that know and teachers that run that piece of the school.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So did you, so initially you worked in higher education then?
I did, yeah.
How did you choose the higher education to work in?
So I personally always loved universities. Like, it would be my goal. Like, my dream job would be to be a president of a university.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, I'm here now, so this is I'm too old to do that.
Yep.
But my chosen profession was to be in higher education.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then so you worked there for a few years?
Yeah. So like when I was at Cornell, I was a very active student leader.
Okay.
And so I was very interested in doing that work professionally.
Gotcha.
So like I turned my avocation at Cornell into my profession.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I went into student affairs.
Okay, gotcha.
And like I said, had every, like my goal was to be a dean of students,
Gotcha.
vice president of student affairs, and maybe be president of university one day.
Oh, that's so interesting. What kind of advocacy did you do when you were at Cornell then?
So what, student leadership? So when I was at Cornell, I was an RA.
Okay, RA, well, that's very important too.
I did orientation.
Okay, for new students coming in?
Yeah, I did new student orientation.
That was great.
I did student government.
Okay.
I did like the senior class gift. I was chair of that.
Okay.
I did so much. I think like things I don't even remember.
Yeah. What were like the main areas that you focus? What areas of policies you focus on? Was it more on the equity and the opportunity
Cornell?
side? Yeah.
I think I was mainly like student orientation, student affairs, that sort of stuff. I did student government, and so when I graduated, I was president of my class.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then
class of '87 president.
Class of '87 president.
Wow.
When I graduated,
Okay.
I was the first president, and then I've been involved with the class for like almost 30, 40 years, and now I'm chair of the Cornell University Council.
Wow. Okay. So how did you like what platform did you run on when you became president of your class in 1987?
I don't know. It was 100 years ago, Tony. I don't remember. You'd have to ask my classmates. I'll ask them what platform. I mean, I think it's just, it was 100 years ago. I think just being an engaged alumni, but I don't think I would have articulated that way at the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. But in the same way, like you still are very connected with Cornell. Well, why do you do that?
Oh, Cornell is the most wonderful place in the world. Most wonderful people.
So, yeah. So kind of similar.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So after you graduated, you were very active as an alumni as well, and you were part of the council. Too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like, so that I guess the Cornell Council is like your higher education part then.
Yes.
You still have your fingers in the higher education part.
That's absolutely true.
So what kind of goals do you have with the Cornell University Council then?
So my goals, my sort of vision for the council is the 3 C's: connecting with each other, connecting with Cornell, and connecting with students. So over my 2-year, so you're on the council. I've been on the council for a lot of years, but I've been the chair for 2 years. So I'm going to be going into my 2nd year coming up. So last year was my 1st year. Yeah. So I just really want to kind of strengthen the connection that the alumni have with the university and think about ways that we can be good ambassadors for Cornell as members of council.
So that's a connecting part as well. Gotcha. Does equity and opportunity that you have for this charter school, does that apply to your council work as well? More equity, more...
Well, I'm always about bringing equity to education. So, but I guess how it translates to council is just sort of making sure that we are diverse in terms of the alumni that we bring in, and that people that have the opportunity to be on council. That sort of thing. So
it's a great group of Cornellians.
Yeah, you've been to TCAM.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Wait, so for the audience members who might not know what council is, what is council? Why is it important to join council?
Yeah. So that is like the $65,000 question. So Cornell University Council, the way I describe it, it's a group. You are like not elected necessarily, but you'd be nominated. Somebody might nominate you to be on council. So then we're 600 council members, I think. And and so it's like a group of engaged alumni who kind of are ambassador, have a lot of leadership in different areas in the university. So by the time somebody's on council, they've been leaders in their alumni groups, leader in their local clubs, and that sort of stuff. So council is sort of a way to recognize that and bring folks together to further and deepen their connection.
From all those different areas. Some might be very active with IOR, others might be very active with engineering.
The library, whatever.
Brings it all together.
Yeah, which is nice, because I think council is one of the few organizations that brings everybody together like that.
Yeah, vet school, there's people from vet school, law school.
Yeah, I've met so many, because like I said, for almost 30 years, I did stuff in my class.
Okay.
So, reunions, I know you go to reunions.
Yeah, I go to reunion every year. Every Cornell should go to reunion.
Everybody should. So you do all that. But council brings together, I've met people from all different classes, all different age ranges, all different leadership opportunities. So it's great.
Oh, that's really wonderful. And then if you join, then you get to see all that as well.
And then it's fun because you get to go to Ithaca for meetings.
Yeah.
So who doesn't love that?
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah. So there's so as far as education goes, you did your Master's of Social Work at Cornell. You also did Master's Education.
I did do a Master's in Education. Yeah. So I have after Cornell, I worked in student affairs at. I started off at a place called the College New Rochelle that unfortunately isn't there anymore.
Oh no!
And I was the residence director there.
Okay.
And student activities director, and I got a master's in guidance counseling there.
Oh, gotcha. So that's
and then
how you work with students.
Yeah, I work with students. And then I went to Barnard College at Columbia, and I was associate director of residential life there, and I ran something called the pre-college program.
Pre-college.
Yeah, it was great. I worked there, and then I went to Teachers College when I was there and got a master's in higher education administration.
Oh wow! Okay. The Columbia one.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Okay, super.
And then I've always wanted to be a therapist, so I had the opportunity to go to NYU to get my master's in social work.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just recently, I completed my doctorate in educational policy.
Gotcha.
So now here I am.
This is a good role model for all the students here then. So all the different education, how important education is.
Absolutely.
Throughout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So they taught you the skill set to
and like I said, I like higher education, so I like to go to all those different colleges, experience different universities.
As executive director too, you have to be very broad as well. Yeah. You have to have multiple skill sets then.
Absolutely.
So having good education
helps with that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, what was your Master's of Education on when you were taking it?
So
what was your thesis on?
I wrote at Teachers College. I wrote my thesis on the history of historically Black colleges and universities.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So does it show that the importance for equity and opportunity?
Well, no, just it's just an industry that I was interested in, understanding historically Black colleges and universities, why they exist. And sort of what their sort of purpose is in the American educational landscape. So, yes, I did that in the past century, 100 years ago.
Gotcha. And what parts of that thesis applies to like the Amani Charter School?
So I think looking at education as an important, looking at education, particularly in the Black community, as a unifying community force. Okay. So, and then understanding the importance of education in the Black community in particular. And so looking at the development of the historically Black colleges and universities, even looking and understanding the development of a place like a land-grant institution like Cornell and how that kind of plays out in terms of we're overusing the word equity, but in terms of like providing equity and education for folks, Cornell has a very their mission in terms of any person, any study. I kind of I bring that into my work here at Amani. So and then
So what's the unity part? Like you're bringing people together in the community, like Mount Vernon community. It's unifying.
Yeah, because one of our for Charlie and myself, one of the goals of starting this school in this community was that for people to have a choice in the community to use the public schools. Because a lot of times, particularly in a place like Mount Vernon, people would not use the public schools. It's hard to understand how that is, And
they would go to a private
school and stuff. Yeah, so we wanted to create a public school options that parents so parents would have more choice.
Gotcha. So that more than what public school is good because it unifies people together.
Yeah, I mean, I think
different backgrounds.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gotcha. So rather than going to a religious specific school,
Right.
where you only meet people from that religion, you get to go to a public school where you
Yeah.
meet people.
Big believer in public school. I mean, we think about it.
Gotcha.
Cornell is a big public school too,
Yeah.
the land grant institution, and our school is a public part of the state university system.
So all the students who come here would be able to meet each other, whereas if they didn't come here, their families wouldn't have had play dates together.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't they? Like in Mount Vernon, is it a
Well,
small?
it's
city?
probably more complicated than we have to talk about.
Okay.
And it's like 45 minutes, but it's when my husband and I started school, our children went to public school here in Mount Vernon, but many of our friends and neighbors did not use the public schools for whatever reason. People didn't feel like the schools were really great, and so that to me breaks the community.
Yeah.
And so again, we want to create a school that keeps people in the community.
Gotcha.
And that's what Amani is here for.
Gotcha. I picture like the Friday Night Lights where all the community comes together
Yeah,
to cheer the
it's very
sports
much
teams
like
on.
that, but
So,
but we want to grow that. Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then the community would come together here.
Yeah, exactly.
as a
And
result.
the community does come together, but I think that we needed more choices in Mount Vernon.
Gotcha. So they were like, gotcha. That makes sense. That way we make sure that the best schools would have more students over time.
Yeah.
And then, interesting. That makes sense. So a lot of the students here they wouldn't have met each other otherwise. Other than that.
Yeah,
the
no, it's
classroom
always
and,
like, a lot of students wouldn't have met each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, what typically happens like after they graduate? Do they go to high school?
Yeah,
Then?
so-
Are they sort of together in high school?
So after they graduate, there's another charter school in Yonkers that a lot of our students go to.
Yonkers. That sounds far away.
No,
isn't
it's
it?
not. It's like about 15, 20 minutes away.
Okay, that's good.
A lot of our students will go back to the public schools in Mount Vernon. There's 3 high schools. There's a performing arts high school.
Okay.
There's a STEAM-based high school, and there's a general high school.
Gotcha, okay.
So a lot of our students go there.
That's good.
And then our students will go to local Catholic schools and other schools, private schools in the community.
Gotcha.
So I'd say 45 to 50% go to the public schools in Mount Vernon.
Okay.
25% will go to the Yonkers charter schools. Then students will also go to other charter schools because there's another charter high school. There's another charter school in Mount Vernon actually. That's 6th through 12th grade.
Okay,
So some
interesting.
of our students will go there.
Okay.
And then there's charter schools like in the Bronx, New York City that students will go to. So
Gotcha.
yeah, they do go. They disperse.
As far as like the education and the community of Mount Vernon, like do a lot of them stay in Mount Vernon long term?
Absolutely.
Like after they graduate from high school, they would stay in Mount Vernon as well?
Mount Vernon is a really like a small community, and so as a matter of fact, now we will have generations of families that have come through Amani, even in our short 15 years. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Like their brothers would come,
Brothers
their
and sisters,
would come.
and so soon people's children would start in kindergarten. So
Interesting. So that really tightly knits. And then I remember at one of the events I attended, there was like alumni who would show up.
yeah,
up again.
absolutely, yeah,
So they would help hold the community together as well. Gotcha.
yeah.
This is so interesting. Mount Vernon is such an interesting community.
It is very
that
interesting
really,
community. Yeah.
Holds it together. What's like the history of Mount Vernon? Was it like George Washington also was Mount Vernon in Virginia? Like,
Yeah,
was it based
but
off of that?
No.
Oh, no? Okay.
No. And I've never been to. Have you been to the Mount Vernon in
Yeah,
Virginia?
yeah.
I've never been there. I know my husband wants to go there. So, yeah.
What's the history of Mount Vernon in Westchester?
I don't know the whole history. I just know I think it used to be like in the back in the day. This was all Bronx County. The Bronx was like a country basically.
Okay.
And then eventually it became these little towns in Westchester.
Okay.
I'm sure that I'm doing a very bad job at talking about the history. So there's all these little villages and towns here in Westchester that I think splintered off from the Bronx when it
I
became.
walked around a couple of months ago and they had like a
Yeah.
city hall,
Yeah.
they had like a main street, they
Yeah.
had like a big park.
Yeah.
So it has like, it's like
Yeah.
a big city.
It is a big city. So in Westchester County, there are the big cities like Yonkers,
Okay.
New Rochelle,
Okay.
Mount Vernon, White Plains. And then there are the other like villages like Pelham and Bronxville. So it's like a very much like you grew up in Washington, so like Tyson's,
Yep,
you know
yep,
that,
yep.
yeah.
That's like a little city as well of its own.
The Prince George's County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the residents would travel into DC for
Yes,
work
exactly.
and would travel back. And
So
it was similar
Westchester
to-
and Mount Vernon is very much like that bedroom community that people then would live in then to go work in New York City.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then you lived here for 10 years, so you feel more.
I've lived here
connection
so
with it here,
much.
and-
Then I grew up in New Rochelle, so I've lived in this Westchester area for over 50 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
then I've lived in Mount Vernon. I lived here for like 15 of those
Yeah.
50 years.
So that's really important because then Westchester would be affordable for a lot of people. Would be a great place to live for a lot of people. Then. That way,
that's debatable.
oh.
So
What do you see as like the long-term vision for Amani?
The long-term vision?
We're trying to expand to more locations, expand to New Jersey,
no,
Connecticut.
no,
Like,
I don't know.
long-term?
No, I think the vision is to create a really great K through 8 school in this community.
Okay.
I just want to focus on building the best community-based charter school that we can build, and then if somebody wants to replicate that somewhere else,
Gotcha.
I can help them with that. But right now, our focus is to build the best K through 8 school here in this community.
Gotcha.
So in
The
the
best
next
one.
few years, I'll be really concentrating on doing that.
Okay.
And so that's a lot of work for me, is like raising funds to help
yep.
support the programs,
Okay.
raising funds to build our building. You
Oh,
know,
yeah, that's right. The permanent home you were talking
yeah, we
about,
need to
the
make a
permanent
forever
home.
home. So
Forever home.
it's really
So that wouldn't be in this building then?
it hopefully will be,
Okay.
but this building's not big enough for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you're expanding to 500 students.
Yeah, so-
you need more.
Yeah, so it's a big project in the next few years, is
Okay.
to figure out how we can build something on this block to create our forever home here.
A forever home,
Yeah.
and then you would have is it like a curriculum that you would design that other charter schools might potentially model after?
No,
or is it more
I
of
think it's
a-
more like understanding what building a community-based charter school with that's kind of opportunity-based community-based charter school. I mean, I don't know if like my goal is to like expand the model throughout the world.
Okay.
It's really just to create the best school here.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just create the
gotcha.
one best school here, then
Yeah.
I've done my job.
Interesting, and then I guess there's a curriculum. There's also like the really good training that the teachers get.
Yeah,
every
yeah,
year. So things like that could potentially be replicable.
They could, but again,
But
my
you're
goal
focused on
is
it right now.
yeah.
Right here, right now. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And then as far as like the skills wise, for the executive director, you have to write grants. You have to meet the local.
I have
Parent
to,
groups?
yeah. I had to be really good at writing grants.
Okay.
I had to be very good at sort of fundraising.
Okay, fundraising. Okay.
Yeah.
What
those
is that
things-
like? Is it fundraising like phone calls, or is it fundraising?
Making phone calls, meeting people, planning events,
Okay, gotcha.
understanding and sharing the story of Amani out in the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like a school like Cornell, there's a lot of alumni who
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
donate back to Cornell. Like for Amani, like what are the target donor bases usually?
So really, the target donor base is finding people who want to support education
Okay.
and charter school education also. Right now, I would love to find somebody who wants her name on a building.
It's the Edison
I'm
building.
willing, yes, but if somebody wanted to give me $20 million, I'd put their name on this building.
Oh, that'd be great.
So yeah,
Okay.
so somebody who might be interested in just creating a legacy for themselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
Are there like different rooms, like the podcast room? or,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
music
Yeah.
room?
So, I mean, I think that people are, there are people out there who want to support our programs like we have here at Amani. So, for
Okay.
instance, I just secured a really beautiful donation from an alumni friend of mine,
really?
to support our arts program.
Oh, that's super.
Yeah. So,
oh, is that the one I attended
yes,
with the performing arts one?
Yeah, you came to the gala, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. They had like people from like the Broadway shows come to perform.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was one of them.
So yeah, so I secured a donation from Jennifer and Tony Anthony Avellino. They're Cornellians.
Oh, wow, okay.
To help us to support our arts program, so that we
Okay.
could have an arts program for our students over
Gotcha.
time. Yeah. So yeah.
Interesting. So is it like one of those endowment models where you build up an endowment
Yeah,
over
exactly.
time and that continuously funds it?
Exactly. So I'm working on building up the endowment. Not close to the $5 million that Cornell has, but
Yeah. But,
you have 1/100th of that.
but over time it'll grow.
That's the goal.
And that'll make sure to keep the school
Yeah,
running
absolutely.
over long periods
Yeah.
of time. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really fascinating. I love how the school is part of like the community too.
Uh-huh.
I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Huh, super. And for the closing question, I always ask, what is the kindest thing that someone's ever done for you? The kindest thing.
The kindest thing that anybody's ever done to you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of kindness in my world. I'm very lucky. So, I don't know. That's a good question, Tony. Nobody's ever asked me a question like that before. I'm going to use my good social worker skills and say, what's the kindest thing anybody's ever done for you?
Oh, well, I got into Cornell. I think that was very, very kind.
Yeah?
Felt a lot more included. There was a lot more, as an immigrant coming to America. It was, the Cornell really brought it together. It made me feel like I have deep roots.
Yeah, that's nice. I would say, actually, it's funny. Like, one of the kindest things everybody had done for me was asking me to be on the Cornell University Council. I think that was like a really kindness that really can going to like sort of creating and strengthening your roots with the university. So because that's been a great experience for me. So or like even the Avellino family recognizing the good work that we do here at Amani and wanting to help to fund our arts program. That was pretty kind.
That's very kind.
Yeah. So. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you could come and visit today.
Yeah, this is magnificent.
Come to our Digital Creator Lab.
Yeah.
You're actually our first. No, you're our second interview.
Can we do like
You're
a spin
second
around, like show all the lights and everything?
I think I don't know how the spin around works,
Okay.
so. But
that was really good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very quiet, very peaceful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Good.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Well, what is it like on your side? What do you see on your side?
Oh wait, are we out?
Yeah, are we out?
Are you wrapping up the shot?
Yeah, we're wrapped.
Yeah, we're wrapped. Yeah. Can I see what it
All
looks
right.
like on your side?
Sure.
I'm gonna try to figure out more about the podcast technology.
Yeah. Well, actually,
Thank you so much.
we.